figured that'd be an opportunity for video, but I don't know if they're actually gonna let us in. Yeah. Yeah.
I think they private banks should take it.
Yeah, but it's not really needs much of it. Sorry, the public council. But that'd be nice to actually physically be there. She's gonna come out with these doors.
All right. Show's about to begin.
Yeah.
I've never seen
What
one.
I at work, my other one.
Huh.
Thanks. It's actually kind of nice. All right. Who's first up? Who's first up?
I'm first. I'm gonna.
Oh, you're good. Okay, you go right ahead.
So, Gov, I'm gonna give the rundown.
You're gonna read the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, no, but all I'm gonna say is
Hey, Governor.
I'm gonna thank the president. I'm gonna say that Ivan's speaking first, and then you, and then the
Okay. All right.
So Ivan will introduce you.
Knowledge video, our delegate.
Yes, I am.
26.
Yeah, exactly.
Is this scarf look all right?
It looks great. I like it. Hey, you warming up?
Yeah, with the scarf.
Okay. Ivan, stay up here. Keep you. Come on up. Come up. Stand behind us. Climate Council, Joan, everyone.
Good to see you.
Everyone who's here is welcome to stand with us. Climate Council members in the back.
Everybody but the
Judy?
press. Be over there.
You're all supposed to be right
You're all
here.
good. You're all good.
All right, Jim, we need you up here. And Cheryl, come on up. So Jim's going to speak, and then Cheryl's a town councilor in Orono. So
Okay.
Hi.
Good to see you.
Nice to meet you. Yeah. Whose daughter worked at Nebo Lodge.
Ah.
Now lives in Biddeford.
All right. Really? All right. So few of us.
I'm looking for Scott. We ready? Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
I think it's
Great.
speaking.
Hello, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Hannah Pingree. I'm the director of the Governor's Office of Policy, Innovation, and the Future, and co-chair of the Maine Climate Council. I'm here with my fellow co-chair, Melanie Loisem, the commissioner of the Maine Department of Environmental Protection. We are meeting here today on the 1-year anniversary of the release of the Maine Won't Wait plan. There is unprecedented urgency on climate, and the real on-the-ground impacts of climate change is already being felt in all 4 corners of our state. Thank you to the University of Maine and President Farini Mundy, right here, for hosting us here today. The University of Maine has been an essential partner to the state over the last several years on climate science, research, and action, and this is an appropriate setting for this important day. We are gathering to report on significant positive progress on climate in the first year of our plan. Hopefully we're all going to be all right. The state is taking proactive steps to partner with Maine people, communities, and businesses on climate action, and we are marshaling the funding, the programs, and the people to accelerate the pace of our actions. First today, we'll hear from Professor Ivan Fernandez, a distinguished professor of the School of Forest Resources, the Climate Change Institute, and the School of Food and Agriculture. He serves as the Science and Technical Subcommittee Chair of the Maine Climate Council, and he continues to put in countless hours of time and energy to lead this work with so many talented Maine scientists and experts. He will speak on the evolving but clear science and what it means for Maine. Next, you'll hear from my boss, Governor Janet Mills, who has been an unflinching leader on climate, pressing for action since the day she took office. She coined the term Maine won't wait, and she dives deep into the details on everything, from weatherization programs to stormwater management to how we can get more EV school buses to Maine, because she cares a lot. And her administration across the board has ramped up climate action in every part of state government. Governor Mills will share the progress we've made since releasing Maine's climate plan 1 year ago and announce 2 exciting initiatives. We are also joined today by several municipal leaders, including the Maine Municipal Executive Director, Kathy Conlow, Maine Municipal President, Jim Gardner, the town manager of Easton, Maine. It's a long drive down, Jim, so thank you for getting here. And Orono Town Councilor Cheryl Robertson, a little bit closer drive. Maine municipal leaders are on the front lines of climate changes, and they are crucial partners with the state in our efforts to take climate action. Both Jim and Cheryl will share a few comments about the importance of this work in their communities. Lastly, I also want to recognize other Maine leaders who are here with us today. Majority Leader Michelle Dunphy, who's been a steady leader, who has been absolutely committed to climate action. We're also joined by State Representative Lydia Bloom, who's been, where is Lydia? An absolute rock star, just back from COP26. I think that's all the legislators here. And lastly, we're here with many members of the Maine Climate Council, key directors, commissioners, and staff. These are the folks who are doing the heavy lifting on a daily basis. So with that, we'll start with Professor Ivan Fernandez.
Thank you, man. Don't let her stand in the way. Good morning. I maybe should talk slow because our governor's on the phone, but I just have a couple of comments of introduction. Evidence of changing climate is not only the extreme events that we see in the weather happening around the world or across the country, but it's about what we're living here in Maine. Sea level rise is accelerating. Gulf of Maine is warming faster than 99% of the world's oceans, which probably everyone in the state now knows all about. Each year we see record highs in both maximums, minimums, and means of the temperature data that climate scientists collect. We experience increasing frequency and intensity of storm events and heat waves, drought, ticks, and Lyme disease as part of our daily lives and more. We live it every day. This is not something that we're talking about in the future. Today, for me, is remarkably important because it's the day we celebrate the first anniversary of Maine Won't Wait, Maine's first integrated adaptation and mitigation climate action plan. Thanks to the leadership of Governor Mills, Maine has moved to the front of the pack in tackling climate change that is both aggressive and essential. Maine Won't Wait has launched a tremendous amount of activity to implement the plan as detailed in the report that the Governor's Office of Policy, Innovation, and the Future is releasing today. But just as important, Maine Won't Wait provides a framework for all the work that we do throughout the state, in our communities, in our laboratories, in our homes, in federal agencies, and in state agencies to respond to the challenge of climate change. This framework provides us a reason to be hopeful for how we can tackle this in the future. And I must add, as a scientist, from the outset, Governor Mills has charged us to be informed by the science in every facet of this work. And so thank you, Governor Mills, for your leadership. And it's my honor to introduce the Honorable Governor Janet Mills.
Thanks very much, Professor. And get my bearings here. So many reports and great things to read. Well, I mean, if you haven't read this, at least read these, and we're going to be discussing those later. Yeah, thank you. Very popular items. But thank you all for being here. Thank you to Representative Dunphy and Representative Bloom, our de facto delegate to COP26 last month in Scotland. Thank you for doing that, for braving the trip and all. And thank you to all of you for being here. Look, in 1938, British engineer G.S. Callender wrote that the impact of carbon dioxide on weather, quote, is not only possible, it's actually occurring at the present time. 83 years ago, we were warned that our climate was warming in a destructive way and that human actions were poisoning the atmosphere. We knew it, but we did not then take significant action to protect the future of our planet. Now scientists tell us that the danger of climate change is code red for humanity. You can't get any more serious than that. It's threatening everything that we hold dear. Rising sea levels threaten the shores of our coastal communities, their beaches and our rocky bluffs, our farms and our aquaculture. Erratic weather wreaks havoc on farmers, their crops ruined by both extreme rain and by drought. Temperatures warm the land and the sea, threatening the health and welfare and well-being of animals and humans alike. For many decades we knew all of this, and for many decades we waited. It's not alarmist to say that we're pretty much out of time. It's the simple truth. On September 23rd, 2019, I spoke to world leaders at the United Nations General Assembly. I said Maine would not wait to act on climate change, and I pledged that our state would be carbon neutral by 2045 and that we would do our part to stop polluting the planet. 1 year ago today, I announced our plan to make that aggressive goal a reality. We can do it. Today marks 1 year since the plan was released. Today, we announce our next steps, including several significant measures to make sure our communities can withstand the effects of climate change. In the 365 days since Maine Won't Wait was released, we installed more than 28,000 new heat pumps in 1 year alone, about 40,000 total, I think. And we're well on our way to reaching our 100,000 heat pump goal by 2025. In the last year, we've installed 246 new electric vehicle charging stations. They're supporting more than 6,000 new electric vehicles in Maine. Many of those vehicles were purchased with rebates offered by Efficiency Maine Trust with federal funding under my Maine Jobs and Recovery Plan. Thank you, Michael Stoddard. Where'd he go? Saw him somewhere. There you are. Michael Stoddard, Director of the Efficiency Maine Trust, who's here with us today, for promoting electric vehicles and helping wean us off of dangerous fossil fuels. In the last year, we also welcomed the very first electric school bus, love the words, into Maine. Doug Van Gorder picks up students every day on Mount Desert Island on that electric bus because he knows that reducing exhaust helps our kids breathe easier, too. With new federal infrastructure funding for electric school buses in the year ahead, we look forward to many more kids taking a clean bus ride and clean bus to school in the future. In the last year, we've supported innovative businesses in the private sector, spurring the creation of tens of thousands of new, good-paying, green-collar jobs. And we're well on our way to reaching our goal of doubling Maine's clean energy jobs to 30,000 by 2030. Many of these jobs were in solar. In 2019, there was only 70 megawatts of solar energy installed in Maine. As of October, 2 months ago, companies increased that fourfold, installing 325 megawatts of solar power in Maine. One of those installers is a young woman named Jessie Rule, a native of Scarborough and the daughter of a lobsterman. Jessie became a solar installer after witnessing firsthand the impacts of climate change on her father's livelihood. Young people like Jessie Rule are finding good-paying jobs in the clean energy sector in Maine every day. Our progress is only possible because of legislation supporting clean energy enacted by the legislature last year, which I was pleased to sign into law. And I want to again thank Majority Leader Dunphy, here with us today, as well as Senator Dill, Representative Osher, and others from this area who've been leaders in climate action in our state. So I'm glad you're here as we announce our next actions, the Maine Community Climate Partnership and the Maine Climate Infrastructure Fund. Watch out for the ice. Backed by $4.75 million in general fund money from the biannual budget, thank you, the Maine Community Climate Partnership will provide grants and technical assistance to municipalities and tribal governments to start or enhance their local climate action plans. This partnership will open to community enrollment in January. Thank you to Kathy Conlow, Executive Director of the Maine Municipal Association, as well as Jim Gardner, MMA President and Easton Town Manager, for joining us here today. We're also joined by Cheryl Robertson, Town Councilor from Orono, a community that has joined with neighboring Bangor and the University of Maine and Husson College in an innovative partnership to take proactive steps on climate change. Backed by $20 million in federal funding under the Maine Jobs and Recovery Plan, the Maine Climate Infrastructure Plan Fund will provide separate grants to municipalities, tribal governments, and others to strengthen stormwater, drinking water, and wastewater infrastructure against flooding, rising sea levels, extreme weather, and the other effects of climate change. Maine Department of Transportation expects to accept grant applications from all these communities in the spring of 2022. I want to thank Bruce Van Note, Commissioner of DOT. He will be administering this program and ensuring that our state's most vulnerable infrastructure is protected. This funding, of course, is separate from other historic investments we're making in the Maine Jobs and Recovery Plan, including $50 million for energy efficiency programs, $50 million for affordable, energy-efficient housing units, $8 million to expand the clean energy workforce, $8 million to expand municipal and public electric vehicle charging stations, and $40 million for land conservation. Thank you to the legislature for that. Once-in-a-lifetime investment, first ever in the general fund budget. These funds are also separate from the more than $2 billion Maine is expected to receive from the recently passed bipartisan Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. Investments in things like electric vehicle infrastructure, home weatherization, public transit, and energy efficiency programs. So, for more than 80 years, humanity has waited to act to address the warming of our planet. Maine is not waiting any longer. We're making unprecedented strides to embrace clean energy, to reduce carbon emissions, to strengthen our economy, and help our local communities fight at every level the greatest danger of our time. Code Red for humanity. With our climate action plan as our guide, we will be the generation that protects this precious place we call home so that future generations may live in a Maine that is as beautiful and bountiful and wonderful and beautiful as it is today. The Maine that we know and love. Let's keep it that way. Thank you. And Joyce Taylor. Go, Jim.
Okay. Thank you, Governor. I want to start by thanking Governor Mills for taking the time necessary to build the partnership with municipal leaders across Maine, who are eager to assist in implementing policies that will address the negative impacts of climate change. Building community resiliency to the changing climate will require bold action, strong partnerships, and investments both in financial and technical assistance municipalities will need to implement solutions at the local level. Based on my experience as the president of Maine Municipal Association and the manager of town of Easton, Maine, the heart of potato country, my concerns are twofold. The first is the impact climate change has on our infrastructure and property taxpayers. There is no question that heavier rain events are testing the capacity of our aging culverts and inadequate wastewater treatment facilities. If not addressed soon, the costs associated with repairing washed out roads and after the fact management of wastewater overflows will only increase the burdens placed on property taxpayers. Second is the impact climate change has on the economic vitality of Easton, Aroostook County, and the state of Maine. As a resident of the county, I know that potatoes are an important food resource for not only for Mainers, but the rest of the world. And the iconic Maine lobster are infiltrating the specialty foods market. In addition, it is essential that Maine's potato industry employs 6,150 people each year who earn an estimated $233 million. Climate change threatens the resiliency of that food source, making it vulnerable to drought, pests, and heat, as well as putting at risk a heritage industry that generates roughly $540 million in sales annually. In addition, climate events have an impact on Maine's tourism industry. Winter rain, ice events, and less snow mean reduced access to skiing, snowmobiling, tobogganing, and snowshoeing. Higher rainfalls mean coastal erosion and loss of our beaches. I could go on, but I want to underscore the fact that failing to act now will shift burdens onto property taxpayers across the state, both in terms of increased infrastructure costs and lower economic output due to the reduced tourism and crop yields. To tackle this, we will need to partner with the state, other municipalities, and the private sector to ensure resiliency throughout the state. The Governor's Climate Action, Maine Won't Wait, offers us a blueprint for not only working together, but making meaningful change. With this said, I want to express my sincere gratitude to the Governor for recognizing and embracing these partnerships with the municipalities. The issue of climate change is too large for any of us to tackle on our own. It requires strong partnership to build a resilient Maine. Thank you.
This is not a venue I'm used to here. Thank you. First, I'd like to thank Governor Mills for recognizing that our state is experiencing the effects of climate change. I am a municipal elected official with the town of Orono. I'm a town councilor. Recognizing climate change, but also the dire consequences and strain these events have on state and municipal resources, as well as the devastating environmental impact that threatens our rivers, forests, and shores. Here in Orono, extreme rain events impacts our wastewater treatment infrastructure, with overflow events happening at a greater rate than ever. It is the guidance of strong leaders with vision that takes us into the future and prepares us to do our best. It is true at the state level, and it is true at the municipal level. Kathy Conlow, former Bangor City Manager, Sophie Wilson, Orono's fearless town manager, are also women of strength and vision. They forged ahead to strategically take on the increasing wind and rain and heat events we see in our communities and understand the necessity to collaboratively take action. As an elected town councilor, I work, volunteer, for my community. My fellow colleagues and counselors and I carve out time out of our own busy lives to see where we can be of service. The nonpartisan nature of this responsibility allows us to work closely with staff as well as with local volunteers. Here in Orono, we are blessed to be able to call on climate experts at the University of Maine, like Dr. Ivan Fernandez, Dan Dixon, and master organizers like Josh Rosen and Bax and other movers and shakers within all of our communities. I know many people who are passionate about speaking up and helping out when and where needed. Coming together, expressing concerns, and sharing this expertise builds human capacity, generates innovative and shovel-ready projects. It's one of my favorite words. Supported communities also create a safety net and encourages shared responsibility. I am here today to express how important that is when challenged by complex issues like climate crisis and climate action. One of the first steps in our collaborative design was to remain open and inviting to surrounding communities who were also interested in participating as a region. As the regional partnership grows between Orono, Bangor, the University of Maine, and Husson University, others are also invited, and some have taken up the call. Mainers take pride in local action and local solutions, but communities don't have to go it alone. As our partnerships grow in this region, the benefits of regional action will be critical in the months and years it may take to get our infrastructure climate ready, our emissions at healthy and sustainable limits, solar and wind to become the norm. I encourage all municipal and townships to reach out or to take advantage of a regional approach with surrounding towns and to take advantage of the two programs announced today, which are a tremendous investment in our community, in community action and preparation. Finally, I'd like to give a shout out to the Maine Climate Council, who provided us Maine Won't Wait. This comprehensive guide to planning for infrastructure changes and indeed for recognizing where need may occur, if it hasn't already, is invaluable to us. It is straightforward, provides clear directive and support, gives an overlay of goals for the state, and it isn't loaded with jargon. We like that. As a layperson, I am an Orono resident first, a volunteer second. This document makes what seems like a daunting task more tangible and accessible. My favorite recommendation in this guide is lead by example. And isn't that what we do best in Maine? And maybe one day, with Governor Mills' permission, we can change the title of Maine Won't Wait to Maine Didn't Wait. Thank you so much.
Time for a couple questions.
Yeah, questions.
Governor, so I pose a question to you. Are you still hoping that the CMP corridor will go forward? And if it is eventually does not, are you concerned about the region being able to meet its clean energy goals?
Well, obviously the whole reason for that commitment, that project, was to help Massachusetts and the rest of the New England states meet their clean energy goals. So I still support the corridor for the reasons I've stated many, many times. I do believe hydropower is clean energy. The matter is in the courts now, and the policy has been well debated. I still support the corridor.
Initiatives that are announced today. I know it sounds like some of that is federal money. Were these recovery acts, or are these new?
They relate to that. Some of it's general fund from the budget. Thank you very much. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, and the governor, I mean, she explained it well, but the program, the Community Resilience Partnership that was announced today comes from the budget. $20 million for adaptation is from the Maine Jobs and Recovery Plan, which
ARP.
is the ARPA funding. There's significant funding in the infrastructure bill, ARPA, and a number of good projects in the budget as well. So complex, but a lot of funding has been marshaled to help us take action.
Yeah, and besides, the Efficiency Maine Trust, which is supporting many of these goals too, is funded by diverse non-general fund resources, like the Volkswagen settlement from several years ago. There's still money helping with electric vehicle charging stations and the like. Anything else? Thank you. I have to return that call.
Great job.
All our press conferences was
Cold out, yes, quick. And
enough, but
you're about to
nonetheless,
be
we had
hit by
melting
snow.
ice.
The governor's done a few cold press conferences.
Yeah.
You want to go in and take a call?
Yeah, I gotta go return that call.
Okay, come on in.
Okay.